So what does Tarzan represent to you, and have you always been a fan of Tarzan?
I've always been a fan of Tarzan. Yeah. For a long time, Tarzan represented the jungle police. He kept the animals in line. He kept the natives in line. He lived in this treehouse. And if anybody came in the jungle and got out of line, then he whipped them into shape. But all of a sudden now, in this particular Tarzan, we have an opportunity to see, how he actually came to be in terms of Tarzan of the Apes and his relationship with the apes and the ape community and the indigenous people who took him in, raised him, who essentially made him human, and how that and all those things come into play in making him what people refer to as King of the Jungle, because he relates to the animals in a specific way and the people in another.
So in what ways do you think Tarzan is unique and different from past movies?
This one?
Yeah.
Well, like I said, we have the family aspect of his ape family, his indigenous people family, and the relationship between he and Jane, in which she kind of convinces him that, the place for them is Africa and not London or the UK or civilization, that she's an African and she wants her child to be African, so she wants her family to be raised in Africa or created in Africa. So that's the big difference.
So how did you get in the skin of your character? And tell me about the challenges that you faced shooting Tarzan.
Well, George Washington Williams, an interesting historical figure that David sent me a bunch of source material on him, and I did some other research, find out who he was and the sorts of things that he'd done and where he'd been in his life, and came to get to the Congo in that particular time, and what that meant to him. And in doing that research, it was kind of easy to create a man who was essentially a warrior, first of all, very brave, and who had a moral center that had been decayed by war. But him trying to find who he was in terms of what his history was, and getting to finding out that King Leopold was doing in the Congo what got his parents over there, or the generation before him that were slaves, which led him to go back there and find a way to let everyone know and document that King Leopold was doing to the Africans in that country what essentially we had done to the Indians in this one.
So what did David Yates bring to this film? He also directed the Harry Potter Deathly Hallows.
That was him?
So was it a magical experience? How was that?
Yeah, David's a wonderful storyteller and an amazing filmmaker. So the adventure aspects, are things that a lot of people can do. But the human touch, the things that he brings to the films, the elements of humanity, the elements of love and familial separation, the ripping of Jane from Tarzan, or the ripping of Tarzan from his ape mother, or the ripping of that mother from Tarzan, those kinds of things. It takes a special person to put those things in a film of this sort, to make people feel them in a very visceral and real sort of way that takes you out of the adventure movie into like, oh my God, and you find yourself like, wow, who knew that you could do that in this kind of movie? And David has that capacity to give you the pathos and the excitement, in the same, particular film, and a film that's not supposed to have those things.
Right. All right. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.